Uh, okay then, let's get on to our program for the day. This is Maternal and Child Health Month, and you know that every month there is a theme for Rotary, and we don't have to do all the programs for that month in that theme, but this particular one I think really hits close to home for us because so many of our service projects are around people getting a good start in life, whether it's families, kids, moms, whether it's literacy or health. And so when Wanda actually had recommended Anderson Interfaith Ministries for us, Wanda Ritchie, I was so excited because to me this is just a perfect fit. And Lesley, I'm going to quickly read your bio, or maybe not so quickly, because the more I read it, the more excited I was about your background and how why you're here with us today and how you got here. So you're from Athens, Georgia, originally. You graduated from the University of Georgia with a Bachelor's of Marketing Education and a Master's of Business Education, and also a Specialist of Education in Administration and Policy. Wow. So you did work as a high school teacher for 7 years in Georgia, teaching business and marketing classes. So you've earned your stripes if you taught high school. Yeah, I'm sure you can relate to that. When your husband graduated from pharmacy school, he accepted a position in Anderson, which is what brought you to South Carolina. And that's where you've lived since 2009. So you became a full-time mom for 3 little kids. There again, trial by fire. It looks like you made it. And as they got a little older, you started teaching part-time at Tri-County Technical College. And in 2016, you re-entered the workforce and started working for Anderson Interfaith Ministries. And as a program director, you're able to use your knowledge and passion for education to support local families on their path to educational success. And she has a lot of extracurricular activities. Part of it is actually chasing her kids around from swimming pools to golf courses to volleyball um, courts, and kids do keep you busy. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. And yes, you are a Kiwanian, and we actually would love to hear more about what your club does, if you can give us your elevator speech for Kiwanis. So I'm going to open the floor up to you, and Lesley, take it away.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for having me here today. I will very closely watch the time, but I could talk about my program forever and ever and ever, because I wasn't a single mom as a student, but my mom was a single mom. And so I actually experienced this side from a different perspective. I was the child growing up in that family. So that's why it's so important to me. And so I'm excited to share that with you today. I do want to quick reference the fact that we have actually 5 programs here at AIM, and I'm not going to go into all of those, but we are known for our food pantry. We do have a utility support program, a housing program, and also a financial stability program that has training courses and workshops available to the community as far as budgeting, housing repairs, just a wide variety of classes. But my specific program for Women and Children Succeeding is all about a mom and her dream to get her education. And thank you, Candace, you read my 3 degrees, but let me just say they didn't come easily. I dropped out of, I was kicked out of school for my first one. And it took me about 6.5 years to get through that first degree. And then all of a sudden it clicked, and education just I fell in love with it. And I love to see that spark in others. And I feel like that journey, me being a child in a single family home or single parent home, and my struggles in college, I feel like have really led me to be here and to walk alongside these moms as they're in our program. Got a couple of statistics for you for the number of folks out there. Did you know that 8% of single moms, 8% of single moms are in school and do not plan to graduate? And that's a scary statistic. 8%. 8%, those moms are on a trajectory to get their degree, but can't get out. 43% of those do not believe that it's even a possibility. That's half of all single moms just don't believe that they can get out. But now let me go back to that 8%, because that 8% actually does get a degree. It just takes them 6 years to get it. And that's for a 2-year degree. So thinking about what it's like to be a single mom and all the things that go along with it, it's difficult. It's hard to really focus in and make sure that they are able to maintain their family and keep the kids happy. That's a big part of it. So I want to share with you a little bit about our program, what we do, and how we support our moms through their journey. And as Candace said, it is all about the moms. Everybody in our program has a different goal, a different plan, and we have to walk alongside with whatever it is that they would like to do. So I'm going to share my screen. I do have a lot of slides. However, I'm going to kind of go through them pretty quickly because you can look at those at a later time. And I am always available to share information if you've got some additional questions too. Okay, everybody here with me? Okay, thank you. So our program is really about empowerment. We are empowering our moms because we provide the resources to allow them to do what they want to do. And that is get a degree. And we are only serving individuals who are working on an associate or a bachelor's degree. So these are not certificate programs. These are moms who are getting an actual degree. We work on balancing because the whole key to life is balance. And we tell our moms all the time that even when they graduate, they're working full time and they are financially stable, they're still going to have to balance things. And so as they are graduating from the program and then become a mom and are helping their children at school and at work, they're still having to balance. So what they learn here in WACS or what they practice here in WACS is really just practice for what's going to happen after they graduate. All of our moms have children who are actually living in the home with them and are supporting those children full time. So not half-time custody or anything like that. They're full time. These moms are also enrolled in at least 12 hours of coursework. So it is a full-time student and they have a GPA of at least a 2.5 or above. And this is the kicker. They are earning at 150% of the poverty level or below. So for numbers out there, this is for an individual, $37,290 for a family of 3. So I just want to specify that. So $37,290 to support a mom and 2 children. And you can see why it's so important that they're receiving assistance from local organizations. What we do through that is to try to encourage them to stay in school. We are removing all of the barriers that they face so that they can focus on their schoolwork. Quick little scenario, I guess. I want you to think of being a parent, male or female, but just being a parent. You've got 2 children at home. You are working and you're able to pay for the things that you and your family need. However, you're always looking for something more. And so let's just say that you're this parent that decides, I'm going to go and get my LPN certification or my RN degree. And you register for classes and you have your courses paid for. And then all of a sudden you realize, how am I going to pay for childcare or my textbooks or my children's after school activities or just food, the basic necessities? So that's what we do. When we say remove barriers to education, we're removing barriers so that those moms can still be able to attend classes. We're also working on transitioning into the workplace and preparing for that so that they know what it looks like. What are taxes like when you move from receiving government assistance to all of a sudden paying into it? It feels different. And our participants always have a kind of a jaded view of what taxes are about. And so we have to try to work on that and work them through that, changing that perspective. And then, of course, this ultimate goal of intergenerational change. We don't see it every day because it takes years and years and years to get there. But we're a 30-year-old program and we are starting to see those changes. And it's exciting because we can see some of these younger students who are immediately thinking college is for me. They're not having to just wait. As far as what our program looks like, we have very, very few expectations. We don't call them requirements. We do call them expectations because we work with adults and they are adults. We want to treat them that way. So they know what they need to do in order to keep it going. So that's kind of the language that we use for that. But we do ask that they attend our meetings. We meet in-house once a month, and this meeting is solely for the mom. It is designed to help, ask questions. What's happening in the home? What is it that they need? How can we support the things that are going on in their classroom? Do they need tutoring, uniforms, whatever it is? We're trying to determine how we can remove barriers back to that. We're also asking the standards of 2.5 or above as far as academics and not dropping classes. Yes, we've had students drop classes. Yes, sometimes it is the right answer, but we ask that they have a conversation with us first so that we can talk through that, because sometimes we find that our women are used to crisis, and in crisis you do an immediate, you make an immediate choice, an emotional choice, and that is typically to drop the class. Whereas then maybe they haven't talked to a professor, or maybe they haven't asked whether they can have a leave of absence. So we get an opportunity to help them look at it from a different perspective and walk through it. And then this last piece, you guys know how important communication is with anything and everything that we do. My colleague Nicole and I, it is just always something that is a focus for our conversations, and that is communication. We ask that you talk to us, whether it's texting or a phone call or email. We have got to know what's happening. We want to know the good, we want to know the bad, and we really need to know the ugly, because those are the times when we can be more helpful. We often find that our participants kind of pull away from us when they're going through crises, individual crises, and that's when we are equipped. I mean, we have the resources to help them through. So we kind of have to pull things out of our ladies sometimes. But again, we have the resources to be able to assist. And so that's what we're focusing on. You guys mentioned mental health. This is our number one concern right now with our ladies. Number one concern. We have participants who've been diagnosed, but the stigma of taking medication is a problem. And so we're really working through that to try to talk about, timing. Maybe you don't want to do this long term, but let's just see how it can stabilize you. And again, my husband's a pharmacist. I don't have all the answers, but I try to provide information, real information, so that we can figure out if medication is a great solution and how we can support them through that process. Again, we're trying to stabilize our participants and their families. I wanted you to see the true foundation of our program. It's not something we show everybody, and I know it's teeny tiny on your screen, but I'll just chat really quick of what it looks like. Hopefully at the top, you can see a bridge. This is a tool that Empath, which is a research institution out of Boston, they started the research behind this many, many moons ago, officially published this in 2008, I believe. We started using this when I came in 2016. And basically it provides an assessment of where we are, a snapshot of what our life looks like, and then what we're trying to strive towards. Can't get to a goal if you don't have one. And so oftentimes when we ask our participants, what do you want? Where are you heading? What does self-sufficiency look like for you? Oftentimes they can't answer the question. And so that's where we're trying to have a conversation of building one. What does it look like? What do you want it to look like? So this tool, we only do this once a year because it's very time consuming. It takes about an hour to sit down and go through a full conversation with our participants. But we go through this and take a look at a snapshot of everything in their life. What does their home look like? What is their relationship with their network? Do they have a network? How much debt do you have, or savings? Or what are your certifications? Are you using them? It honestly gives Nicole and I a chance to see barriers that our ladies don't even know exist. We can often find things, and again, mental health is one of them. But we often find things here that give us a direction to take as we move forward with case management. My favorite thing, I have to share this with you guys. My favorite thing about using this tool is the 1 year mark, when we get to sit down with a woman who's been in our program for a full year, and we do it again, kind of an assessment, an updated assessment. And then I say to each individual, you know, what growth have you seen over the year? And usually the first time it's kind of oh, nothing's changed, still in the same place. And, you know, we give them a chance to really think for a minute to see if they've had something. And then Nicole and I have already had the conversation ahead of time of what we've seen over the year, and then we get to start sharing it. So we'll say the things that we've seen over the year. We'll say things like, yes, but we've seen you decrease your debt, or you didn't have to call out of work as much as you used to because now you have stable childcare. So we get to share the growth that we've seen. And then all of a sudden you see them kind of sit up a little bit stronger and more confident. And it's really fun because I'm a teacher. I love the aha moment. I love the feeling of when someone is finally able to see it themselves. And so honestly, it's about a year in when we do this very first assessment, or this second assessment, the first reassessment, where we see change starting to happen. And so it's a long-term tool for us to use, but it gives them a place to go, something to work for. And all of the questions on here are very invasive, just to be flat honest with you. I mean, we are asking really deep questions. We're asking them to trust us with all of that information, and very early on in our relationship, but it's really what builds it. They become very vulnerable to us, but they also get to see how Nicole and I deal with Grace and how we work as a ministry here at AIM. So that's a blessing through all of this. Again, the assessment tool is the foundation, and then all of the services that we provide, which I'll be able to run through in just a moment, the services are based on these, on the pillars. So anything that we provide is to be able to help with these pillars. So for example, we've got our childcare assistance. Well, that provides stability for your family, because when you know that your child is in a dependable, safe, and secure location, that makes it feel good. And you're able to study, you're able to work, you're able to do the things that you need to do. Honestly, many of our participants rely on family members. And if the family member has something else to do, even though you can kind of depend on them, you can't depend on them every time. And that's what we want. We want them to see the bigger picture. We want them to see of how do you have backup plans in place, and so on. So childcare is our biggest financial supporter. Honestly, many people come to us for this. They hear that we have childcare, and we bring them in with the childcare, but once they are in our program and really taking advantage of our services, they see that so much else is available. This is important. Don't get me wrong. It is super important, but it's just not the end all be all. It's kind of just what brings people in. And this is our second important one. When we talk about barriers, childcare and transportation always come up, because we hear my car keeps breaking down, or I've had a flat tire and I don't know what to do, and so on. So we pay for a year of AAA each year that they're in our program. So it's continuous as long as they're in our program, because I cannot go change your tire every time somebody has a flat, but AAA can. And so we tried to provide some services that would be able to help them throughout their time, so that when they are stuck on the side of the road with their children in their car, they can be taken care of and in a professional way. Quarterly oil changes, crucial. We want to teach maintenance and to teach preventative care. And so the quarterly oil changes does that as well. And then the $100 gas incentive each month is very helpful as our gas prices continually increase. But many of the ladies in our program are attending colleges where they have to drive, maybe it's 15 to 20 minutes. And so this is really meant to offset that transportation to and from classes. But again, since COVID, there are a lot of online programs now that we are supporting as well. And so again, this keeps our ladies in a vehicle that is safe and dependable and gets them to and from school, to and from work, and also to and from activities with the children. Our resource room is here at our site here at the WACS Cottage, and most of our ladies are receiving SNAP benefits, which pay for food, but not for the other resources that they need in their homes. So the ever expensive diapers and wipes, for participants that have young children, we are a saving grace for them there. We have a partnership with First Quality, and so we always have diapers here available for them. We also have local groups that donate these products, Publix being our biggest one, but again, we have lots of local partnerships. We stock products that help offset the budget. So things like cleaning supplies, personal care items, feminine hygiene, anything that a family might need, and on a daily basis or a weekly basis. And then we get some fun things in too, like just random things that people will donate. Sometimes we'll get, new kitchen towels and things like that. But really what we stock are the supplies needed to keep a home going each month. And cleaning supplies and hygiene are pretty much our two biggest expenses there. And then we have a WACS boutique here at the WACS Cottage also. I know a lot of programs have kind of a clothing closet or something where people can pick out clothing. Well, we have more of an upscale version of that, as every item in our boutique is new with tags. And our partnership with Cato keeps us stocked for that one. They are a blessing to us for sure. But anything that they have, so shoes, accessories, undergarments, clothing, and so on. So we have a special room for that upstairs. It is set up just like a boutique with a dressing room and everything. And so when our ladies come to the cottage for their meeting with us, they meet with Nicole and I, we have our 1 hour powwow and conversation. We leave them empowered and ready for the day. They can get the things that they need from the resource room as well as the WACS boutique, and then they're off and on their way. Kind of some outside resources that we provide are, and I'll kind of go through all of them, but this is a big one that I wish our ladies took advantage of more. It's a wealth building account, an opportunity for savings, to create the habit of savings. And I noticed that there were some financial people, I think, in your group. So I thought this might be really fun to hear about. But the goal of this is just the habit of saving. The old IDA account is no longer a federal line item. So instead, we created an in-house version of that. And so if a participant sets aside $31.25 each month, which is a weird amount, but it adds up to $150 a month, we put in that $93.75, and then over time they can see their account grow. And upon graduation, it allows a pot of money that they can choose to use for their next adventure, whether it's buying clothes for work, or maybe they needed a car upgrade, or maybe they have to move for a new job. But creating that safety account is really what it's meant to be for. And we partner with a local bank in order to house those accounts here. One of our volunteers for the WACS program created a program called the Real Initiative, allowing children to come in and select new books each month. Have y'all heard of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library program? Okay. My kids grew up with that. And so I tried really, really hard to get that started around here, but there was not an agency that wanted to take on that endeavor. So we created our own version in-house. And this is all new books. Again, we have the Junior League of Anderson, who send us books all the time, and all ages. We have cookbooks and learning how to draw, basically anything that can be read, because literacy is the intention here. And each time that our moms come in for a meeting, and we just ask that they step over to the library and just grab a book for each of their children and take it home, and encourage them to read it together. So that's a chance for us to talk about how to engage in those conversations with their children. Our WACS Angels group is a very, very large group of individuals that donate anything and everything that we need. And it looks different throughout the year, has different kind of intentions, but they're all anonymous. So we just grouped that and call it our WACS Angels. We have individuals who write notes of encouragement each month to our ladies that we mail out, just kind of words of wisdom and just something to keep us going. It's always nice to get something in the mail. And they'll just bring it to me, and then I address it to each of the ladies so that we're able to keep their information confidential, and we mail those out. We also have throughout the year Easter baskets or Valentine's goodies or a party even for that, happy birthday items. But the biggest thing that our WACS angels do is at Christmas time, they purchase gifts for each of the families and for the children in the family, as well as the mom, and stockings. And so all of that comes in, our moms are able to come get it, and they wrap them. And honestly, it's kind of like the mom is giving them to the children so that she still has the integrity and the feeling of wrapping them herself and selecting which ones will actually go to the children. And that's from a wish list. They don't just, our sponsors don't just come up with things. We actually have the wish list and so on to make sure that it's something necessary. Outside of the financial things, we have just a few things that we do to create that communication. We want our moms to have a network where they can have intellectual conversations or talk about school, things that they may not be able to discuss at home. They may not have someone there to do that. So we're connecting them with others who are like-minded, who can have the conversation of, you know, what did you get on this test? Or how did you work through this problem at school? Or how'd you make it through this class even? So we are creating opportunities, typically virtual, for these peer connections. And we do this once a month as well, and for each of our participants. And then on the other side of that is we also encourage family time that is not related to school or, you know, the hard stuff that a family is doing. We want them to just go out and be together and see other families who are doing the same thing through modeling. So you can see we've been ice skating, we've been to the pumpkin patch, we have gone out to Denver Downs for all of you local folks who know about the corn maze and all the fun stuff that they offer out there. Anything and everything to get the kids out. I will say this is my biggest challenge as a director because we have newborns up to 17-year-olds, and it is really difficult to think of things to do for that age range. So always getting suggestions if you have a place around that would be something fun for people to do. With all that said, though, sometimes we do it as a group. You can see in the middle photo, we all went together to that particular one, but sometimes we just offer tickets. For example, the circus came through town, and if a family wanted tickets, we got it for them and we gave it to them, and then they could go do it on their own. So not all the time are we doing those things together. I promise I'm almost finished. Our professional mentor is another piece. Nicole and I here provide the mentor piece throughout their journey through school and through the family, but we get to a point where we don't have the expertise that they need. For example, most of the women in our program are on the healthcare track. They want to be a nurse. I am not a nurse. I am not anywhere. I can't talk through that language with them and so on. So what we do is match them up with a person who has that knowledge through the profession. And so it starts to create a network for them, a person they can ask questions through and maybe find out about job opportunities. It's our first true step in professional networking for them because we're trying to kind of move them in that direction. After they graduate, we want them to be connected with somebody else because Nicole and I won't be there for them. And they often tell us they feel like that we're breaking up at the end. And so we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure there's somebody else there for them to create that network. Okay, that's a lot, I know. More importantly than anything is what our ladies do and what they think about it and how it supports and helps their families. So I do have a short video. It's about 4 minutes, and I'd like to share that with you. And then I can update you on all these wonderful moms that you'll see in the video. All right. And I practiced this ahead of time, Candace. Let's hope I can get it going this time. Okay. There we go.
Before WACS, it was absolutely impossible to even think about changing our life course. We were doing everything it took just to meet basic necessities. I knew that's what we had to do, was to go back to school, and I just didn't know how. So I got connected with WACS, and they became our pivotal support.
I think it gives me that time and effort to put forward more towards school, and I have that support system too that I do not have personally from my family, to put my education first, put my child first. And now that he is here, I can go to school and be able to afford to take him to daycare, because that was one of my huge things after he was born, is how am I supposed to go to school and have a baby, because I can't bring him to school.
It impacted not only my life, but my kids' life, because of the support and just the opportunities that they help you with, like the different resources that they have in order to help you to be successful.
I think it's really taught me, like, what do I want to be when I'm done with school, you know, what my future is going to look like. So instead of thinking like right now what's going to happen, it's kind of taught me the long term of who I am and what I want to do. It's just great to know that you always have someone who's there for you if you need somebody to talk to, and not just about school or what's going on with your kids, but just pretty much anything you can come and talk to them about, and you know that you have someone there for you.
It's definitely gave me a network of people to go to when, you know, when I need something or someone, or just advice or someone to talk to. And as far as my two girls, it's really opened them up to a life that I didn't get when I was younger. They were definitely one of the main reasons why I did go back to school. I didn't want the cycle that my family's been on to continue, and I really wanted my kids to just have a different lifestyle.
Our responsibility as a mom and to train our children in the way that they should go is a huge motivation to continue to keep going and to set an example for them that they're not stuck in any situation.
Ever since I had him, my whole perspective in life changed to where I want to give him a better upbringing than I got. I want him to be able to say, oh, well, if my mom can do it, I can do it. And me be there to push him towards whatever he wants to accomplish, because if I can accomplish it, I know he can accomplish it. And so I think it sets a role model for him to look up to.
It's not just for the women, it's for the kids too, and that's a big part, because it's not all about us, it's about our children too. We're there. It's kind of like you're leading by example.
He's been a driving motivation for me to continue going to school and also going back to school in the first place. But just to really show her that she can do whatever she wants, whether that's a job being a doctor where you make $100,000 a year, or being in a nonprofit field where you only make $20,000 a year.
So it was always a goal, because I wanted my kids to know that, you know, it's possible, you can do it, keep going. And I didn't want them to give up because they thought I did. So they were definitely the driving role in going back to school. I think in the end it'll definitely help them become better people, and hopefully continue that on and make it a new cycle for our family.
I mean, WACS is women and children succeeding. And when you start to doubt yourself, that's the beautiful thing about WACS, is you always have somebody on your side.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you, Ray.
I'm sorry, let me stop that. Okay. So you can, was everybody able to see and hear that okay? Okay, perfect. I wanted you to see that. Those are all individuals that I have worked with specifically since I started here in 2016. And I'm happy to say all of them have graduated. It is really cool to see what they have accomplished since then. And we've had, I know it said 162 there, we're at 176 now as far as graduates, and we're still seeing the change there. And I wanted to just show you just a quick little update about each of those ladies, and then I promise I'm finished. Oh gosh. Okay, there we go. So Jen graduated from AU here in Anderson, and she is now working with DSS in Pickens County and is an advocate, a child advocate for families. Martha, who you saw in there with her sweet little babies, she graduated from Southern Wesleyan, is thinking, she's been accepted, but is thinking about going back and getting her master's also at Southern Wesleyan. But she's been working this whole time with Safe Harbor domestic women's domestic shelter in Seneca. They have 3 different locations, Greenville, Anderson, and Seneca, but she's working at the Seneca office. This is Aisha, and this next woman, Tanya, they actually graduated together, started the program together, graduated together, and both of them are now in nursing school. The only reason they're not in WACS now for that is the fact that they do not any longer have a need for that financially. So anyway, but I'm happy to say that they did both graduate with their associates there. And then one of our most recent graduates, Jordan, she is working at Patewood Hospital in Greenville as a surgical tech. And she just let us know, I guess it was about a month or 2 ago, that she's thinking about going back to get her RN certification. So you can see that there's an impact. You can see it's happening. I think the fact that they come back and talk to us is huge. I think that they stay engaged and want to share with us and find out how they can help. I think that speaks volumes of our program, because we inspired them and they're already ready to inspire somebody else. And I think that's huge. So that's WACS in a nutshell. And we have so many more things, and I can't get into them all, of course, just for our time's sake, but I did want to answer any questions that you had or hear any feedback from you guys. And since we have an international audience, nope, I lost her. Okay, well, I was excited we had an international audience. I thought we'd have international coverage here, and I thought that was kind of a cool thing to think about with WACS. So,
Lesley, I just I know that there's a lot of questions, but I just that was so moving and so inspiring, and I understand completely why you're passionate about helping these amazing people, these amazing families. But I will stop there, and if anybody has any questions for Lesley, just John, please.
Lesley, there's 2 Rotary clubs in Anderson and there's 2 in Clemson. Do any of those clubs do any service or support you in any way?
Yes, sir. Actually, so we have 2 here in Anderson, and our executive director, Christy King Brock, she is in one of them. And then our director of development, Susan Anderson, is in the other. And they are both heavily involved with us. And we've had members of our board through that as well. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Lesley, this program is really terrific. I am really impressed. My first question has to do with, you're doing so much good for these ladies. What's preventing you from doing even more for more people? And what's the need? And how many people are you not serving that could be served?
Oh, so many good questions. You're right. You know, it's funny. Motivation is the biggest piece that I see, or I guess a missing link for that. We actually have funding to serve even more, but you would be surprised we don't have the applicants that you might think. And, you know, we can serve up to 20 at a time, well, because I'm full-time, but my colleague Nicole is part-time. So, you know, capacity here. So we can serve up to 20, but we typically have 12 to 15 on our roster at any given time. And I know our expectations are low. I don't think that it's that. I think it's just the motivation to give us a call and maybe to know that they have to maintain the 2.5 GPA. A lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but we do see a good number of individuals who are 2.0 to 2.5. And I don't know. I just think they're not ready to dedicate their time to it, to be honest, but that's all I can say.
So they do
I
know
do
about
think
your
it's-
program, but they can't meet the education requirement. That's the weak link.
And Ken, you know, during my time here, I've played around with some numbers a good bit. We have actually lowered the threshold for GPA for a while. Every single person that we let in, and I can say every single person because there were only 4, but all 4 of them dropped out because they were not able, they weren't dedicated. And so it's kind of, you know, our GPA is determined by our motivation level. I can attest to that. That's why I got kicked out of school. So I think that the 2.5 does show us the level. It's a quantified example of motivation level.
Great, thanks.
I was reflecting that with all the incredible resources you provide, yes, it's important to have somebody who's really committed to your program for you to invest in them. Just the full range of services you provide makes me think that absolutely everybody actually could use this program early in life. I know I certainly could have.
You do.
Yeah. Wow. Lene, your hand's up.
Yes, thank you. Absolutely, Lesley. Such a moving program. And let me figure out how to put my hand down. There you go. So, very moving program. I was at Tri-County Technical College for 3 or 4, 5 years or so, and then moved over to Greenville Technical College and stayed there until I retired. And programs like yours really do make a difference. One quick comment about the GPA. I would not be an advocate for lowering it less than 2.5. And yes, agreed about your points about the motivation, but also if they're predominantly, your folks are predominantly in the medical program, it's not going to work being lower than that, because they've got to have that 2.5 to even stay current, and they've got boards to pass and everything like that. So that's that's not a bad thing to have. But thank you so much for reminding us. It is very difficult. Most of us, not all of us, but most of us have come through life with circumstances that provided usually an easier path, and most of the time we took it. And so like Candace said, we could have maybe used some motivation to stay on that path sometime. But thank you for reminding us of that. I do want to mention something. All of us have personal service projects, and one that I have done and have been assisted by folks in the clubs, especially Ken and Candace and John and Lance. We offer mock online interviews.
Ooh.
So if you think about it, a lot of companies these days will start with online interviews because of the Carolyn Walker she's with the AOT program there at Tri-County Technical College. She and I work together. Okay. Yeah, she and I work together at Greenville Tech.
Okay.
And so if that's something you're interested in, I'll send you my email address in the chat section.
Yes, Lene, I would love that. Yes.
So take it down, and like I said, out, and so they have to contact us. So we try to make it as realistic as possible. And there's usually 2 of us who does the interview, and we try to make it very positive. We spend the first 15 or 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes as an actual interview. Then it's their choice as to whether they want feedback. We've never had anybody say no. And so we give feedback as to what we see and how we think they can present themselves better. And it's a good way for them to get familiar with Zoom. So
And we all need that. I need that.
Yes.
And I was gonna say, if you guys, see a need through somebody you know, or even just through my conversation, if you have an ideas, we're always looking for ways that we can wrap more around our participants to help them be successful. We can't change their motivation, but we can provide services. And so again, the AAA was one that was, I think it was about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago. This is our second round. So yeah, 2 years ago that we started that one, just because somebody suggested it. And so again, if you've got ideas, we are open. I told y'all I'm a lifelong learner. So you teach me and we will put it into action. So if you have any ideas, I'd gladly take them.
Any other questions or comments for Lesley before we wrap up? Okay. Well, I was actually thrilled to see the bookcase that you say the Junior League supports. And I just, getting books in the home is right there in our wheelhouse. And we did want to share, we do a program where we provide books to little free libraries around the upstate. And so part of our program is to honor each of our speakers with a book that will go into one of the little free libraries. And Lene, I think you have a little explanation for this one you'd like to share?
Sure. This is the classic Inch by Inch. Leah Leone, one of award-winning author. But basically, Inch by Inch, a little inchworm throughout the book shows that he can measure things, and then a nightingale threatens to eat him if he can't measure how the nightingale sings. And it's very clever how he gets out of the situation. And so, but I think, when I was thinking about the program that I was coming up with you, Lesley, there's certain parts of what you do can be measured. How many participants, how many graduates, all of that. But what can't be measured is what happens throughout their lives, particularly, listening to you, all is the lives of the children, and, what that will live on, the intergenerational part that keeps on going from now on. So we're very, very happy that this book will go into a little free library in your honor. And Julie, I think Julie's hand is up too.
Yeah. So Julie, if you unmute, there you go.
Lesley, I was hoping you would put your email address in the chat, because I think there might be some ways that we would consider helping in the future.
Absolutely. Let's see that.
And I will be glad to email that out also.
Okay.
Because I know the chat unfortunately goes away as soon as we hang up. So I will make sure everybody has your email. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, once again, very moving and important and amazing work you do. And just the way you explained it makes everybody excited about it. So